João Félix was supposed to be a generational talent. He burst onto the scene in 2019 under Benfica, with Bruno Lage winning the league and dazzling the world with his flair, intelligence and goals. At just 19, he wasn't just another young footballer. He looked to be the next big football superstar, with the world at his feet. But that was 6 years ago. Now, in 2025, João Félix has just completed a move to Saudi Arabia with Al Nassr. On paper, his CV still looks pretty impressive. Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, AC Milan. It reads like the career of a player at the very top of world football. But the reality tells a much different story. João Félix's career has been defined by wasted potential, what ifs and questions about whether he will ever reach the level he was meant to. Or whether we look back at 2019 and remember João Félix, a streets won't forget player, or just another failed wonder kid. In this video, I'm going to break down why Félix's career has gone off track, the key moments that derailed him, and whether there's any hope for him to reignite that spark and become what was expected of him. This is the failure of Félix. Now, I'm going to start off with something a little bit controversial. As you can tell, or hopefully you can tell, I am a Sporting fan. But I actually do rate João Félix. When I first watched him at Benfica, I saw a special player, a footballer who could decide games in an instant and a true generational talent. There was no stopping João Félix in 2019, and it was arguably one of the best debut seasons in terms of a full season and how he was able to help Benfica and drag them over the line that I've ever seen in Liga Portugal. And honestly, in my opinion, Bruno Lage still has a career and a reputation today, largely because how good João Félix was that season. But this is where the cracks first began to show. So of course the biggest problem that João Félix has had is his inability to choose career moves that actually benefit him. At Benfica, he played in a team that gave him freedom, built around his strengths, and he looked untouchable. Then Atletico Madrid came knocking. And many people will blame Diego Simeone's defensive system for stiffing Félix's attacking flair, and maybe there is some truth to that. But let's not forget, Simeone has managed attacking stars before and had them reach incredible outputs. Diego Costa, Radamel Falcao and even Luis Suarez towards the end of his career, and they all thrived. The reality is, this move directly derailed João Félix's career. Maybe if he stayed at Benfica for one more season, developed further and avoided that massive €120 million transfer fee, he would arguably be in a much better place today. And yes, as I mentioned, people will point to Diego Simeone, but he's not the only party who isn't innocent in this. There is of course Jorge Mendes, the super agent that brokered the deal. There is also Benfica president at the time, Luis Felipe Vieira, who was desperate to make the biggest sale in Portuguese football history. But ultimately, no one forced João Félix to sign the contract. That was of his own doing. And looking back, it was easy enough to say that this was a step up. And I mean no disrespect to Benfica in this or any team in Liga Portugal, but Atletico Madrid is a bigger stage than any of the Liga Portugal sides. But it also came with pressure, expectations and a style of football that never truly suited João Félix's skill set. And of course, stats aren't everything, but it's clear to see where the decline happens. At Benfica in 18-19, 43 games, 20 goals and 11 assists. Then he moves to Atletico Madrid and over the course of a few seasons, 131 games, 34 goals and 18 assists. But I will give Félix some credit because he just wasn't all doom and gloom at Atletico Madrid. He won La Liga Player of the Month in November in 2020 after scoring braces against Osasuna and Cadiz. Félix also provided a vital assist to Renan Lodi in a comeback victory against Osasuna in May 2021. This result helped Atletico stay at the top of the La Liga table, eventually winning their first title in 7 years. In 2021-2022, he was actually named Atletico Madrid's Player of the Season. He finished the campaign with 10 goals and 6 assists. At Atletico Madrid, he also won the Golden Boy Award, but it was actually, I guess, for the performances at Benfica he won it, but he was still at Atletico Madrid when he was actually given the Golden Ball. That same year, he finished 28th in the Ballon d'Or race. But Félix had difficulties adapting to Simeone's style of play, with Simeone either trying to play him as a right winger or a second striker. He also struggled with the fact that forwards under Simeone were expected to press their opponents frequently while off the ball, which often left him drained and he was unable to create scoring chances. leading Spanish newspaper Marca to name him one of the most disappointing transfers of the season when he first joined in 1920. So things did start to look up for João Félix. Even when he started the next season in 22-23, his first game that season, he got a hat-trick of assists. Atletico Madrid beat Getafe 3-0 away from home, and in the process, he became the third Portuguese league player to provide 3 assists in a Liga match. But the following matches were clouded due to a dispute over Felix's relationship with Diego Simeone, where Felix lost his place in the starting lineup and became the club's 5th choice attacker, behind Angel Correa, Antoine Griezmann, Alvaro Morata, and Mateus Cunha. His relationship with Diego Simeone further deteriorated on the 10th of October during a Champions League group stage match against Club Brugge, where in the second half of the match, Simeone sent him up to warm up 3 times, only to leave him on the bench. After that game, he went to his agent Jorge Mendes and asked him to find him a new club in the winter transfer window, with this episode eventually getting to the press and sparked his desire to publicly announce that he wanted to leave the club. And this is where the moves got even worse. He joined Chelsea. Like I said, CV on paper, Chelsea is a great move, but not in 2023. Chelsea were going through a rebuilding period at the time. Roman Abramovich had to sell his club due to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Todd Boehly would end up buying the club and would buy a surplus of players. And they were playing under new manager Mauricio Pochettino. Even his job wasn't safe. But to say Felix got off to the worst start possible might be an understatement. He made his debut the following day after the move in a 2-1 away defeat to Fulham, but was sent off in the 58th minute for a tackle on Kenetete, later getting his punishment upgraded to a 3-match ban. That half season, he played 16 games for Chelsea, scoring 4 goals and not registering a single assist. And the bad decisions didn't stop there. We mentioned Chelsea, a club in chaos with no clear plan, and his time there was forgettable. Then came Barcelona, and on paper, sounded like the perfect match. But again, much like Chelsea, Barcelona was still a club in crisis, still reeling from Messi's departure and rebuilding from the ground up. With awful finances, they relied on free transfers and loan deals. And it was always going to be clear that even if João Félix performed well, that he would still not make the move permanent. And of course, moving directly from Atletico Madrid to one of their rivals didn't exactly win him many friends back at Atletico Madrid. And to be fair, his time at Barcelona wasn't bad at all. 44 games, 10 goals and 6 assists. But what was weird, after both moves on loan to Chelsea and Barcelona, João Félix extended his contract twice with Atletico Madrid. This was due to the fact that he was actually lowering his wages so Barcelona and Chelsea could afford him. But still, he then signed a contract to move to Barcelona with Atletico Madrid until 2029. And to make things a bit better for Félix, on the 3rd of December, he netted the only goal in a 1-0 victory against his parent club Atletico Madrid. And at the reverse fixture at the Metropolitano, João Félix also scored and opened the scoring as Barcelona beat Atletico Madrid 3-0. He became the first player to score in both games against Atletico Madrid in the same league season since Lionel Messi in 1920. But as previously mentioned, Barcelona couldn't afford him. So what came next? Did he finally get his moves right? Did he finally choose somewhere where he'd be appreciated? No, he went back to Chelsea. He returned to Chelsea, signing for them on a 7-year contract for €52 million, with Conor Gallagher moving the other way. He did score on his second debut in a 6-2 away win against Wolves on the 25th of August, but it's clear that Enzo Maresca didn't really want him at Chelsea. In 12 Premier League games, he scored just 1 goal and registered 1 assist, but only played 363 minutes. He did play 5 games in the Conference League where he scored 4 goals, and also had 3 appearances across the EFL Cup and FA Cup and scored 2 goals in both competitions combined. So after another failed stint, he chose the team that probably on paper was the best move for him since the one to Barcelona, and that was AC Milan. And AC Milan, the move was, I say fine, but Sergio Conceição's system wasn't really designed for a player like Félix, and coming in January only made matters worse. He also had to compete with players like Rafael Leão, another Portuguese star who is not only ahead of him at club level, but also in the national team pecking order. Not to mention the strikers up top, Tammy Abraham, Alvaro Morata, Luka Jovic, Santiago Jimenez, and on the wing, Salamanca's Chukwueze, Pulisic, Traore, Noah Okafor, and of course the mentioned Rafael Leao. Even in the Serie A, he only made 15 appearances, scored twice and got 1 assist in 760 minutes. There was one glimmer of hope for Felix. After the failed move to AC Milan, he was back at Chelsea. But he had suitors, and the best one being Benfica. This move made sense for so many reasons. Not only would he return to the club that he was so good at when he was first there, but also the manager now is Bruno Lage. It was a perfect move to get his career back on track, and we've seen other players in Liga Portugal go from the heights of being a very good wonder kid to not really making it and going back into Liga Portugal and doing very well. Vitinha, Francisco Trincao and Francisco Conceição, and he would be in a Benfica team that was stacked with incredible players as well. So surely this is the move he chose, right? No. He chose Saudi Arabia and Al Nassr, and for many, this looks like the final nail in the coffin. The move that officially ends any chance of him filling any of his early potential. However, there might be more to it. Cristiano Ronaldo is there, Jorge Jesus, one of Portugal's greatest coaches, is there, and with the 2026 World Cup just around the corner, this could actually help Felix, rebuilding the confidence, finding form, and developing chemistry with CR7, who still has enormous influence in the national team setup. But it won't be easy. Portugal is stacked with attacking talent. Rafael Leao, Pedro Neto, Francisco Conceição, Gonzalo Ramos, Trincao, Pedro Gonçalves, Giovanni Kenda, Rodrigo Moura, and the list goes on. But the one thing I haven't really spoken about this video, and that I also think is an issue, that is the weight of 120 million euros. It's just the sheer weight of that transfer fee. 120 million euros at 19 years old. That changes everything. Suddenly the world expects you to deliver like an Mbappe, like a Haaland, like a Neymar, and add in the celebrity lifestyle, the media pressure, the scrutiny, the press, the attractive actress girlfriend, and it's no surprise that João Félix struggled to handle it all. So the question remains, will João Félix ever fulfill his full potential? Will he ever reach the heights that we expected? Honestly, I don't think so. He was supposed to be the future of Portugal, the face of a new generation alongside players like Vinicius Jr., Haaland, Mbappe, and others that were supposed to shape the next generation. Instead, he's just a serviceable player. And there's nothing wrong with that. He'll still make millions, he'll still have a legacy, but it's not the one we imagined for him, and it's not the one that I'd imagine he'd want to leave. But could he turn it around? I think so, but only if he makes the right decisions. In my opinion, the best thing Felix could do was go back to where it all started at Benfica. Play under a manager who knows you, in a league where you can shine and rebuild your career. We've seen success stories like this before. Players who returned home, rebuilt their confidence and fought their way back into the national team. But time is running out. João Félix needs to stop coasting on talent and start taking control of his career. At 25 years of age, he risks becoming another Streets Won't Forget player, a pub quiz answer. And I want to believe that he can turn it around. And I hope this Saudi move does prove a lot of people, including myself, wrong. Because football is better when players like João Félix are at their creative best and when they're playing at the highest level, with full confidence at the level we know he can be. But yes, that is it for this video today, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of João Félix? Is the move to Al Nassr actually a good one? Do you think he should have gone to Benfica? Is it too late for him at this stage of his career? Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I've been Sam Fonseca. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and peace.